What's up, everybody? This is the second episode of the Fake Friends podcast. And today we're going to be talking about two albums, Kanye West's Donda that released on August 29th and Drake's Certified Lover Boy that just came out on September 3rd. It's been been about almost 2 weeks since both of them have been out. So have some time to digest them, listen to them, and take it in. This isn't either artist's first album. It's Kanye West's 10th studio album. And Drake, I honestly don't know how many albums he makes because he puts out one every 2 seconds. So who knows? Don't care. But so how do you feel? What are we feeling like with Donda? Did it meet expectations with the 3 listening parties and, you know, the delays, the hype, you know, the usual Kanye promo? He says he's going to do an album. Yeah.
You know what? I was going to say, I don't know if there really is, if there are like expectations to be met when Kanye West drops an album. You know, I told you before too. I thought it was amazing that he had, you know, he sold out a stadium for people to come listen to music that they never heard. I mean, select few artists do that to come listen to songs that they already know. You know, so like that's amazing. That's amazing in itself because it's like you pack a stadium out and nobody's heard these songs, and he did it 3 times. So like they did hear him before, then they hear like new versions of him. So like when it finally was to come out or finally be released, I don't know what the expectations were. And it's kind of hard to like say it better sound like this or it should sound like this or make you feel like that. I just know that it's amazing. Like almost, you know, every piece of work he puts out, which is kind of impressive considering, like you said, it's his 10th album. There's 20 plus songs. What did it originally release at? 26 with 3 part 2s and then added the jail part 2. Yeah. So it was 27? 27 total. Yeah. I mean, you know, 27. I think it's Kanye West. And I think that's just, I think that's how you sum up his work. It's like nothing else. Sonically, yeah. I think it's one of his most moving albums. You know, like it moves you sonically easily.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I mean, just speaking on the production alone, I mean, you could really say it's like the best of his last 4 albums, right? Which you got My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Yeezus, then Ye, and The Life of Pablo. What was the last 4?
Yeah,
I would say like it's like a
out of order.
I know I'm out of order, but in just terms
that's
of
right.
like, yeah. So for me, when I listen to it top to bottom, I feel like I get like the best of both worlds of those 4 albums collectively put together. Oh, and obviously, Jesus is King. 5. Those 5 albums. I feel like Jesus is King, obviously with the more gospel type feel, but then with the production, you have some hard hitting tracks. Like these are not, you know, soft records. Like the 808s are banging, the drums are banging. Yeah. You know, reminds me a lot of like, you know, some Yeezus with some of how hard the tracks hit. You know what I'm saying?
I was just listening to it the other day, and I was thinking like he could have. I know the sentimental value of naming it with its name. He could have easily named it, you know, 808s and gospel if he wanted to, because there's like you got tracks like
that would have been a hard. Yep.
There's tracks like Jesus Lord. That's just like a gospel record with 808s banging over your head. And it's like,
you
don't hear that in music the way he does it. And that's why I say it's like, I don't know what you expect. Because you name those last 4 albums. You name the gospel joint, Jesus is King.
5.
And then
Jesus
5. Yeah. So you go back, Jesus is King. You go, Yay, Life is Pablo. My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Another one you name. But it's like, it's like a combination, like you said. It doesn't sound like you can't anticipate what he put out based on his last 5 pieces of work. That's what I mean by the expectations. Like, I don't know, what do you expect for his music? Like, even when he released Ye, you know, or Life of Pablo, because he's coming off of Life of Pablo came out after Yeezus. Like, he hadn't put out an album since Yeezus before Life of Pablo. So, like, what do you expect his music to sound like when it releases?
Well, that's true. It's a good point. I mean, my friend Zach, you know, during the listening parties and stuff. You get the snippets on Twitter if you weren't able to catch the live show on Apple Music. You know, I was hearing like Hurricane and Moon, and I'm sitting here like, yo, what is this dude doing? You know what I mean? Like just hearing the vocal arrangements and how powerful, like, you know, he's using these like spacious layered vocals again. And like, you know, just, it's just really coming off of Jesus is King that had like moments of that with the Salah record and kind of going more of that direction with a lot of these tracks. And also too is I noticed a lot, like I want to say it was on the Ye album. Like I read a review from one of like the stupid music editors, these like idiots. They're saying like, oh, like Kanye took like a cop out with production, like it's super simple, like, you know, just like baseline drums, whatever. And I'm sitting here like, that's an interesting comment. And then kind of paying attention to that moving forward to his albums, it definitely seems like he's taken a more simplistic approach to music now. And I feel like that's credited, again, no proof of this, just speculating based on who he works with. There's an artist named Francis in the Lights who kind of has that same concept with like minimalism in his music and music videos, like just taking less and making the most of it. I mean, the production on Donda, I'm not saying it's, you know, lackadaisical by any means, but you could literally just from elements be like drums, bass, and like a chord progression, then vocals drive everything. And that's pretty freaking cool.
That's an interesting comment that someone would even make about Kanye West's music, because even across genres, you know, 808s might be 808s and Heartbreak, which is, I think, you know, a pivotal album, but you take his first three records. You take College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation.
Yep.
You know, you take My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, take Life of Pablo, like these albums are still very sample heavy, like Kanye West. So I don't understand anyone making a comment saying that, you know, he took the easy route when it comes to making music. There is no easy route when it comes to making music. Like there might be a simplistic way, but usually simplistic is what turns out to be genius. And he's always kind of created music from a simple standpoint. It's not like anything extravagant, in my opinion. I think it's just the way that it's put together in terms of arrangement. And then, like you and me both know,
sure.
You know, it's the arrangement of his records, like All of the Lights. The records arranged in a you know, and I don't just mean you know, intro, hook, chorus. I mean vocal arrangement is what makes Kanye West's music sound like it sounds. And then on top of that, the quality of sound. Like he doesn't put out records that are poorly, you know, mixed and audio engineered. And that's probably why it takes so long in terms of like, you got to understand these aren't 2-track rap records. Like
especially with the layers of vocals.
He put his music out on that stem player for a reason. Like, you know, this is a rap album, hip hop album, a pop album that's being mixed with stems. And you have a lot more freedom when you do that in terms of just, you know, quality of sound. And I think that's why it might seem like it's so simple in terms of like instrumentation or, you know, rudimentary rhythms, but like it's the quality of the music that moves you. And you can hear the difference. I remember I was playing this with Mariah, and I was like, you turn on a record off of Donda, and then you go turn on a record that's on the latest hot tracks to Apple Music, and you can hear the difference, not just quality of sound, but like it doesn't even impact you the same. It doesn't even hit you the same, even if it's an artist you like, you know, and that's because of quality of sound. So that's an interesting comment that someone will make about, you know, the production of it. I think it's how it's put together. I mean, he's a producer for a reason.
That was like a comment about the production on the Ye album, but more so just kind of, I didn't agree with it, but just kind of, it made me like spark the idea of being like, I wonder if Kanye's kind of taking this approach to be like, well, I'm going to focus on more like vocals and arrangement. And like for instance, if you take, we'll say 808s and Heartbreaks, that's an album where production wise, the beats are intricate. The production's, you know, very, you know, like minor melodic or minor harmonic, you know, it's a sad, gloomy feel, but he pushed like the vocal melodies on that, like doing a lot of like melodic vocal lines. And then if you look at My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, it's almost like he was like, I'm going to make the coolest, like I don't want to say overproduced, but biggest produced album ever and have it be hot. You know, just records are just so big with instrumentation, arrangements, vocals. And then with this album, I feel like with Donda, he was like, I'm going to make an album that you feel, that you like feel. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good way to put it. No, that's a good way to put it because it moves you. The music, yeah, that's a great way to put it. Go ahead.
It lifts you. It feels good. Yeah. It feels good. Yeah. It feels good. I mean, No Child Left Behind is literally just a chord progression. And that organ line that layers with the chord progression and plays a little melody is so beautiful. And I'm just like, that's it. Like,
yeah,
like he could have threw drums, like he could have took that record to another level. And the fact that he just left it at that, and you know, he just had a little part. And he just let the music breathe. Like on this album, it's not so much about, there's important lyrics and he's letting the track go with the writing, but he lets a lot of the music breathe in a unique way, similar to like a dance record would, but it's hip hop music, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a lot of the music
come through. Musical breaks, like a lot of just music.
There's like maybe 20 records on this album that could easily be like, you know, used for a movie montage or a scene in a movie, just because of the way that the sonic vibes kind of move your emotion. And it's like I've always kind of wondered this in terms of just like our own production. You know, there's times where you're like, I don't like that sound. And you hear some of the sounds that are being used, whether they're like from a sample and, you know, they're manipulated or an organic sound. And you're just kind of like, it feels almost as if people like Kanye West, when he makes music, you know, it's hot when you're making it. You understand what I mean? I feel like a lot of our, you know, musicians or artists, they don't kind of know. They might be making it just because they like it in the moment. And then you hear it the next day and you're like, I don't like this shit. It's trash. I always sometimes wonder if like there's any moment in time where during his creative process, that's not it. Because the final product just sounds like it started out that way. Right. Does that make sense? It sounds like the final product on every record was the beginning of it. I'm sure that's not the case.
Which we know because, I mean, especially with this album, I mean, Mike Dean is quoted saying that they did make adjustments after each listening party. Yeah. So, you know, they were working on it. I mean, God, I feel like he kind of started doing that. What? Yay? He started releasing music that he just wouldn't put out. He would just play for people. And then based on how people reacted online or in person with a Sunday service or whatever it be, he would go back and kind of tweak it, which, again, name another artist that's done that. He's always been ahead of the game of promoting his music. And
mind you, remember, I mean, even on Graduation, we watched a clip of him, I think in the studio with Timberland. And he was just like, yo, the kick, I mean, the record's already on the radio. This is before you could stream music and go put it back. Like the record's on the radio, it's on CDs. And he's like, I want to tweak the kick for my performances.
Yeah, so because like, I don't think it's hitting in the club.
It's not hitting.
Timberland was like, yeah, no, it's hitting, bro.
You know? So that process has always been there. You know, if you pay attention, if you do your crate work, I guess they call it, you know, on an artist like that, you kind of know how it's operating. And when you hear a final product like Donda, and maybe that's why there's a biased emotion there. Maybe it moves you differently because you have more of a connection to the artist, right? I've always thought about that. Like there's some artists that I might not just relate to like that. And so their music doesn't impact me or move me. But like if I relate to an artist in terms of his, you know, artistry or just creativity, or if I just am a fan, then, you know, it's hard for him to release some shit that I wouldn't like, you know? Right. And it's all momentary, you know, and I'll say that to kind of segue into the counterpart, Certified Lover Boy here. You know, artists like Kanye West and Drake, coexist in a space where, depending on where you are, it's kind of going to determine how you receive their creativity.
Right.
And I say that, for example, it's like, there's certain albums that Kanye West impact me more than other albums. Like hands down, my favorite Kanye West album is 808s and Heartbreak. Whether that's the time that it was out in my life or just in terms of the actual music creativity, but it just impacts me in a sense that this is the best music from him that I know of. Now, I enjoyed My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I enjoy all of his other albums. But at the same time, I think about a time when he released Yeezus. And like at that time, I was like, oh, it's cool. But it wasn't like my preference of music. So like there's artists that coexist and they make music and it determines where you are for how it impacts you. And I think sometimes people forget that, like when, music gets put out at the same time, you got to always compare and contrast on what's good and what's not, what's better than that. I don't think there's ever really a case of what's better than that. It's determination of like where you are in your life and how it feels like it relates to you and your current state. That's just, my thoughts on creativity as a whole, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you said it best. Not every song or album is meant for you to feel in that moment. Now, moving forward, kind of transition to talking more with Drake, not to shit on him too hard. I guess this is his 6th studio album, his 6th. But, for someone like Drake, for me, that's kind of how it was. When I first heard him, I had a friend, I want to say this was like 2008 or 9. He played me the Ransom song with Lil Wayne. I was like, yo, is this Lil Wayne? Like, nah, it's Drake. I'm like, who the fuck's Drake? Sounded just like Lil Wayne. And then, his first album came out, not the mixtape, but that first one with like Over and Find Your Love. And I was just kind of like, like some catchy songs on there, but I was just like, just didn't seem like it was him. And you remember I was like, dude, Drake's corny. He's whack. If his next album isn't something that I connect with personally, like it's something that it's him, like that his first music didn't seem like him. It was like, oh, he's talented to make these records. Where I was like, give me something that lets me know you're you. And he dropped the album Take Care. And I went, whoa, this dude is dope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I wouldn't, that's not even what I think his best album is, but I heard Take Care. And this is, mind you, after all of his success. And I was like, I guess, a Drake hater up until then. And then I hear Take Care, the album. I'm like, no, this dude's the real deal. Like, holy shit. But yeah, I think a lot of people are hard on considered what's good with music because they want to be accepted by their peers. So they don't want to say something they like that is turned down. So to maybe be like, oh, I like this, as big as Kanye is, like, oh, I like this Kanye album. It's like this gospel rap album dedicated to his mom, over like Drake. So I'm like, oh, dude, you don't know good music. And contrary,
it's not a popular opinion.
Like, and honestly, like, because I heard someone say, like, oh, the intro track to Donda is so stupid. And I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe it is. But when I first heard it, I thought it was almost like a meditation hymn, like a chant, to kind of like Donda, Donda, like almost like something you'd chant if you were trying to like meditate. Kanye said it was to represent her heartbeat, but I was like, oh, that's cool. But like on the flip side, if you're someone who's looking for like just punchline rap, yeah, you might go to someone like Drake who would give you a typical cool like introduction record or whatever. But Certified Lover Boy, after listening to it, is definitely better than what I anticipated. I didn't know what to expect, but the last few projects from Drake haven't really like got me excited. Like you say, best uninspiring music. But I think I don't know why that started playing, but I think I do think that this album is actually really good, and it kind of went back to his original quote unquote sound with like sampling and throwing heavy drums on it. It hits like 40 is a dope engineer. These tracks hit. He's got some cool bars in there, some cool records, and people throw shade on him for not even writing his own songs, which I understand. But like, honestly, Drake's not a rapper. He's a fucking artist, like an actor, a pop, you know what I mean? So it doesn't, who cares? He's got a cool voice. So if you're, you know what I'm saying? But like,
no, yeah, I wanted to comment on a couple of things you said. One, I think it's funny that you said the first time you heard him was on Ransom, because I remember where I was. I was in percussion. I was in my percussion class in high school when I heard Ransom for the first time, and that's kind of when he was breaking the scene. And I didn't know who Drake was, and that was the first time I heard him. And then I also remember the first time I heard Over, or like where we were playing it. We were in college, and I was crossing the Bay Bridge, and his album dropped, and I heard Find Your Love, and I was like. Yeah. From Ransom to Find Your Love, like, no, I don't know. But
Toss Away 808's record.
Yeah, like, that was a Kanye West record, as you can just tell, because it was like too close and relative. And so, for one, I'm sure he didn't write that whole record himself. People probably just weren't even paying attention to the fact that he has been an artist from Jump Street. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When it comes to the fact that he sings, a lot of singers don't write their own shit. So, like,
right.
I get the the perception behind wanting somebody who gives you bars and punchlines to make their own bars and punchlines. But it's not the first time in history that a popular artist doesn't write their own shit. Kanye West doesn't write everything he raps either. So,
Right.
I think that's kind of a mute point to discredit someone like Drake when it comes to the type of music he makes. And then he, his last, maybe 4 albums, because the album before this was Dark Lane demo tapes. And then the album before that was, I think, Scorpion.
Scorpion.
Before Scorpion, I think you had like the playlist album. Well, I don't know if it was Views or the playlist.
Yeah, because I know he does some little like EPs. Because I know I don't think that if you're reading this is too late. I don't think that's considered an album. Actually, I don't think that gets credited as an album.
I think it does. I think it does. Yeah,
if it does,
I'm almost positive it does.
See, that's why I feel like this is more than just his 6th studio album. But I don't know, dude. Let me see if I can.
No, this might be 7 if you count that. And then you got then you have,
it gets credited as its 6th.
Yeah. So maybe it doesn't. Maybe that if you're reading it's too late doesn't count. But I was just saying that going back because you're backtracking from Dark Lane demo takes to Scorpion to More Life, where he put out 20-some tracks that had a variety of records. I mean, he had records on there that like you'll hear over the intercom in Walgreens, like the passion fruit joint. And then he had records on More Life like Do Not Disturb, which is your typical conversational rap over a kick and a clap. And then he had Views, which I kind of relate this Certified Lover Boy to very heavily. I think it's very heavily related to Views in terms of the sonic like vibe and bars and stuff. Mm-hmm. But it also brings me back to my comment, like where you're at in your personal life is how you kind of embrace an artist like Drake. If Take Care, which is when I think he kind of found himself as an artist, the content, the lyrical content, the sonic, the sonic vibes on that album are going to impact you differently. And you're going to remember that as like, well, he won't make music like that again. But I mean, maybe that's just because like where you're at in life isn't the same place. So his music's not going to feel like that to you again. And the one thing I do think is cool about him is that you can go back and listen to all this old shit to now, and you'll hear the growth or like the maturity or like just the transition of artists, which like, that's the only way you remain, I think. That's the only way you have longevity is you're constantly adapting. And someone like him, like you said, you play his first album, it sounds nothing like his second album, and just like you play Take Care, Take Care sounds like nothing was doesn't sound anything like nothing was the same. Like, people, I think that album kind of gets looked over when it comes to like, I know it had Hold On, You're Going Home, We're Going Home, but like when it comes to rapping, like he had bars on them. And one of the things that Drake has mastered is the conversational rap. Like he raps, gives you bars, and it sounds like he's just having a conversation with you. And that's why it's like impactful when it comes to rap. And then at the same time, he gets a lot of flack just because he can actually has the ability to go make a Hold On, We're Going Home, or Fake Love. He can make the pop record. Always could. And I think that's where he kind of gets some of that, like, I'm tired of it, or just, he's not this, that anymore. But, you can't be mad at a guy who can make records across the board. You just got to respect it, I think, as a true fan of music. Like you said, there is there's peer influences where it's like, no, you're not supposed to like that guy anymore just because you've liked him for so long.
Well, I definitely want to comment on Nothing Was the Same. I mean, for me, that's my favorite, and I think his best album, Nothing Was the Same, his third album. Like you said, I just think like when you combine lyrics with creative production, I just thought overall concept, that album is tough to beat for what he did. And that's why, like, when I look at someone like Drake, I think he's so talented. I'm like, this dude could really sit in a room and, Certified Lover Boy, when I heard that title, I was kind of like, oh, this dude might be doing something like really dope. And then I hear the track list and there's some really cool tracks and hard tracks on here, but I'm like, man, some of these tracks you can just toss the fuck out. Like, don't even need to be on here.
No, I get it.
Like, they're not bad, but I'm like, yo, I just think, that could have been like, everything sounds good, but Certified Lover Boy, I feel like just didn't quite hit the mark with me. But that's just from like a track 1 to track 21. Not saying like individually, like some of the tracks on there, like the record with Kid Cudi, I think is I Miss You Too. Is that what I'm supposed to stand for?
I think that's what it means.
I am. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that record is one of his best ones he's ever done with an artist featured on there. Like, I'd love to hear him and Kid Cudi make a collab album together. I thought that was freaking super dope. The record with Travis Scott, obviously, they have great chemistry. They make fire records. That track was awesome. And the intro's cool. And then Poppy's Home. Like the first like 6 records are hot. It's first 7.
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna say
Way Too Sexy, and it was just like, oh shit. Like club, just overplayed in the club, just automatic. So I'm not saying the album's bad, but like, it just,
if I had to, there's. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I really like the album. I'm not trying to compare it to anything, but there's something missing there for me that's taking it to make me really feel it, and that could just be where I'm at in my life. And his music isn't for me to connect like that anymore. But I don't know. I just know how talented he is. And so he's made some records that I'm in love with. And again, like this is like a solid B+ album. Like, it's fucking dope. And I don't think it should get the hate I've seen it get. Will it get played out as more than his other albums? Who knows? But I mean, there's some hot records on there. And it's better than what I expected. I thought it was going to be this like corny ass, like love fucking album. There's some cool records on there. I'm definitely happy with it. I like it. I do like it.
One thing that's cool about Apple Music is you get to like, you can add single records off of an album, right? And it'll add it to your library in that album, and it'll just give you those records. And so like the cool thing that I did was I kind of basically made like my own version of the album, if that makes sense, in my library. And that's kind of what like, sits with me well in terms of like, if I was executive producing the album, these are the only records that would have made it.
So what you got?
And if that's the case, I mean, you're looking at an album that has about 12 songs on it. You got the intro. I feel like you said 1 through 7. Yeah,
1 through 7. I feel like you lock it. Yeah.
1 through 7 is there. Way Too Sexy isn't my go-to, but I totally get it. Like if I'm in the club, I want to hear that record.
Dude, I heard that. I was just like, I went, okay. Yeah, I just knew.
If I'm in the club, if I'm out, if I'm partying, if I'm having a party, I want to hear that record. When I'm riding in my car, I want to hear that. I got a little drink and I'm like,
and I already saw on Twitter, like people sarcastically tweeting like way too sexy for whatever. You know what I mean? Like way too sexy for.
It's trendy. It's very trendy.
It's a trendy song.
Very
Drake
trendy.
makes trendy music. He gets it.
He makes it, but he also makes it. And he makes it cool. He's always did that. And
hold on, you said 12 tracks, right?
I had 12 tracks. So like it's basically.
Let me try to. Can I try to guess? Can I try to guess the other 5?
Yeah, go ahead. All right.
I want to see how well I know your A&R skills. So
yep.
I'm gonna say you're gonna go with No Friends in the Industry for sure.
Absolutely.
Race My Mind.
Yep.
Fountains
is not on there.
Okay. Then I might be missing one, but you're gonna have the feature with Wayne and Ross, right?
You know what? Let's pause right there real quick, briefly.
Oh,
this might be a hot take. I have no care for Rick Ross's music anymore. And the production on that record and the Rick Ross gives a very vintage feel, which I can appreciate musically. I personally don't think it's hot anymore. I don't think it's hot. And so like,
let me say this real quick before you go into your, before you just say what it is, because that song, I feel like they were going for a Lord Knows production off of Take Care. I feel like that's what they were trying to like.
That's what I mean.
Relive.
That's vintage. And that's 10
I feel
years
like
ago.
They were trying to relive that and they just threw Wayne on it.
Yeah, that's 10 years ago. And I'm just like,
yeah. Yeah.
But you missed 3. There's
well, I was gonna say obviously the Cudi record for sure.
Absolutely the Cudi record.
All right. Yeah. So what are the other 2?
So if I'm producing this album, it would have had 12 tracks, and it had 1 through 7: Champagne Poetry, Poppy's Home, Girls Want Girls, In the Bible, which is honestly probably next to the intro. In the Bible is probably my favorite record on the album. Love All, just because I appreciate a Drake and a Jay-Z collab. They're both very conversational rappers. Fair Trade, that's a catchy song. That's got Instagram captions all throughout. Great production. Travis Scott. I'm not even a big Travis Scott fan, and I love his verse on that record. I think that's like, he makes that record actually. Like, I don't see another feature on that record, and that record being as good. No Friends of the Industry is one of my favorite styles of Drake rap, where he's just, he's actually boastful, whether you believe him or not. But like, I think he executes those very well. 7 a.m. on Bridle Path is a great classic Drake conversational record. Race My Mind, Get Along Better, which I personally think was a Ty Dolla $ign record that he just gave to Drake, because it still got Ty Dolla's backing vocals all over the track. And then I Miss You Too with Kid Cudi, because I think those 12 tracks sonically, I think they all sonically blend. You capture all of your markets. You capture your female markets, your rap head markets, your pop markets, your radio records. And I just think those flow through with those other records. I know there's a popular record with 21 Savage, but I don't see
do it for me. Yeah,
it doesn't
Knife
do it
Talk
for me, and I don't.
for me.
I don't see the market there for that record. Now, granted, not A&R, not all A&Rs. If I was an A&R, I'd probably miss some records, just like every A&R does. But like, I don't know, with an artist like Drake, I think it's hard.
Scout
to miss
misses some talent, right? Scout misses some talent.
Very true. You miss some guys. You
miss it.
But I think those 12 tracks are solid, and they would just be like, that would be it. I might be missing one. That might have been 11. Maybe I can't count.
No, I think it was 12. And if not, then we're both idiots and we'll get made fun of. That's fine.
Yeah, no, that might be 12. Yeah, so that's me though. I'm Certified Lover Boy, and I was the cool thing is, like we said, the compare contrast is always there. I haven't done that on Donda. Like, I haven't went through and picked, because I didn't feel a need to. I literally press play on, say, Hurricane, and I let it run through, or I press play on Jail, and I let it. The only record I skipped on Donda, like I don't let run through, is the Pop Smoke record.
Dude, I was about to say, that's the only one that's just yeah.
It's just like, but every other record, it's like, I mean, we're talking 27 records. Oh, I'll skip Okay Part 2. I like Okay Part 1 more. I like both versions of Jesus Lord. I like both versions of Jail. I like both versions of Junior.
Yeah, Ty Dolla $ign.
Yeah, but like, there's not, and maybe that's what I mean by that.
Give me some of your favorite tracks then off Donda, because we kind of didn't really mention that. And I mean, since we both really like the project, which ones, 3 to 5 that really just you connect with or stood out, or you just want to comment on?
I'll start with Jail Part 2. I listened to both versions. The first time I heard, the snippet of Jail with Jay-Z's verse, I'm like, holy shit, I would love another Watch the Throne album. It's great they're making music again, right?
Yeah.
But I became a big fan of the Baby the past a month. I've liked his music before, but everything he's gone through, I'm right there with him.
I feel it.
And so, I feel it. And so that, that verse that he put on there, I'm just like, that does it for me. That record's tough. So I'd put that definitely at the top, which is crazy. Cause me, like my personal taste, I like to nod my head. I like that doesn't even have I don't think that has a drum on it until the end. Like there's no drums on that record. And I can listen to that shit over and over again. And drums are my thing. But after that, I'm probably going with Jonah, because I'm a big fan of the Vori Kid. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but the Vori Kid, I like his voice. I think he makes pretty cool music. He's got a good project out.
Thought it was Jeremiah at first, which is crazy.
Yeah. And then I'm going. Yes, I can't pick just 3. I'll give you like 15.
Go 5. Yeah,
I'll go 5.
Yeah, fuck it. Go whatever you want. 5, 7.
I can't pick 3 because after those two, Remote Control is like a hot record. Like Remote Control is. Keep My Spirit Alive, New Again, Jesus Lord, Hurricane, of course, Junior. And these aren't in order. These are just records that I would go to if I was randomly selecting records. Mm-hmm. And then and Pure Souls. Oh. Pure Souls is the whole album, man. That's the crazy thing. Like I said, is if, I tried to experience both these albums, CLB and Donda. I tried to experience them the same. And I was trying to be fair. So like, I didn't listen to...
Likewise. Yep.
I didn't listen to Donda. I mean, I didn't listen to CLB until I felt the need to listen to something else other than Donda. Right? So like, I literally listened to Donda for a week straight, nothing else. Workout, in the car, going for a walk, whatever. It was Donda. CLB was out and I was still listening to Donda. And then it was like a time, I think I was working out and I was like, I'm going to turn on CLB because I want something different. So then I embraced that from top to bottom. And that's kind of how I like and, try to experience music in different settings, whether I'm working out in my ears or on a system, whether I'm sitting in my house on a system, whether I'm in my car, whether I'm, walking in my ears. And I did that with CLB. And when I did that with Donda, I can let it play. Like literally, if I don't want to hear the sonic vibe, if I don't want the God breathe on this vibe and the off the grid, I can start the album on Hurricane and let it play through. And I don't skip a record. If I want to start it on Jail, I don't skip a record. Like I said, the only record I might skip when we get to Television, and that's about it. Which is like, I haven't done that with a Kanye album since. I don't skip anything on Graduation. I don't skip anything on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. It's tough to skip anything on Life of Pablo. That's quietly one of his best albums also. And like quietly. But yeah, it's pretty impressive. Yeah, it's impressive. Yeah. So if I had to, if we're in the world of you have to like this over that, I'm definitely picking Donda. But that's only because Drake put out 21 records and not 12. I'll tell you that. Like if he put out 12, I'd be like, hey, I can't really pick.
I just want to piggyback on some comments on a few of the Donda tracks. I mean, some records that stood out to me, obviously Off the Grid. I know you said you don't have to listen to it. I think that's one of the hardest records. Like that record's crazy. The beat, the way it switches up. And one thing that's, I think, overlooked in this is, a lot of people give Kanye some heat for not being too lyrical over the last few albums. This album, it seemed like he really was thinking about what he was saying again. When he wanted to write witty lines, he was. When he wanted to kind of sing and be more spiritual, he was. And I just think that Off the Grid fits that. I mean, Hurricane speaks for itself. I don't listen to Lil Baby. Don't hate on me, anyone. But, he comes on and I'm like, wow, Lil Baby, like, I want to listen to this. And that's real quick. I think something Kanye always done fantastic is he can take an artist that you might not typically listen to, put him on his sound or what he's going with creatively. And you're like, yes, he pulls the best out of that artist. And, time and time again, I can see a track list with an artist on a Kanye song. And I'm like, and then I hear it and I'm like, wow, that was dope. So again, Hurricane with the vocal arrangement of The Weeknd's voice. And then they just switch up the hook. Yeah. Like the arrangement of the arrangement of Hurricane is not like any other record. Like there's no like hook really. It just kind of just goes. And whenever The Weeknd sings, I guess that's the hook. Right. I think 24 is awesome just from a vocal arrangement standpoint. Yeah. Moon is like this, like Moon. I wanted to hear it for like 8 minutes. Yeah. Like that's a 2.5 minute song that I wanted to hear for 8 minutes. Like I wanted drums. I wanted like bass line and he just gave us guitar. Don Toliver, Cuddy and himself with beautiful vocals. It sounds like a love record to like, you're like pouring your heart out to like someone, you miss. And, that's a really special record. Heaven and Hell, you pointed out to me. That record's stupid.
It's almost
the bars that shit hit, the production hits. It's hard. The drums hit. Keep My Spirit Alive is sneaky good. Jesus is Lord. You get Jay Electronica on the album, just dropping truth bombs about all the corruption in the world with like our former presidents and all that shit. That's all real, by the way. It is. But yeah, he gets on there, doing that old school fucking what rap music was, like intellectual, teaching people. New Again with Chris Brown. Chris Brown apparently said he was mad his verse got taken off, but he forgot he was working with who? Kanye. That guy does that. I mean, I'm pretty sure Drake thought he had a verse in All the Lights, and he was like, all right, Kanye, what's my version? He's like, wait, you only use me for a bar? So the track with Lauryn Hill.
Yeah, that's the
you even said it, you're like, oh, I think this is the stronger
same kick,
right?
Same kick. It is strong. I'm pretty sure it is.
Same like pump too. Yeah. Same side chain.
Yeah.
But I think two records that really stand out before I finish it is two records. Lord, I Need You, I think is very special. Very, very special the way the production is with this very hip hop driven record and how he's singing almost like it's like on some spaceship shit. Yeah, that one. Wrap your arms around your mercy.
Yeah.
Very, very, yeah. And then Pure Souls, Roddy Ricch. Don't listen to a lot of his music. I hear Roddy Ricch on this and I'm like, this dude, like, you need to work with Kanye West, my friend. Like, what are you doing? Get rid of all your producers you work with and just work with Kanye West. Because this dude, Roddy Ricch, the truth is only what you get away with. Like, come on, man. Like,
let me comment. That's because I think, I'm sorry, were you done? Was that kind of the wrap?
Well, real quick, I do want to finish because I know I mentioned it before and you mentioned it, but No Child Left Behind, I know it was in the commercial and stuff, but that is just a beautiful, beautiful song with the progression. Like that is a beautiful piece. And then Jail Part 2, Francis and the Lights, you're adding the baby who kills his verse. I think that record's so cool. There's no drums till the very end. And yeah, that's that. Great album.
Yeah, I just want to comment on a couple of things you said. One, the comment about Lil Baby and Roddy Ricch. Like you said, he'll take an artist that you don't really listen to, and you'll hear them on his music, and you're like, I like this artist. I think that just speaks to the creative ability of Kanye West. Because he's always been, he started out as a producer, not a rapper. And sometimes people forget that. Like he's been producing since like 95, and he's been producing hip hop records. And, if we quick brief history on what a producer is, I can't teach a class, but a producer doesn't just make the music. A producer arranges the record vocally and instrumentation. They have a vision. They have a sonic vision. He even said it like, it's colors that he sees when he's making music. Like when you create music, there's a visual you're trying to capture sonically. And I think nobody does that like Kanye West. And so like when you bring other artists into that, you bring something out of them because they're creating in your space. You're not creating in their space. And you can hear the difference. When Kanye West features on a record like Lollipop, or when he features on a record like Swagger Like Us, or what was the record with him and Forever? He's a different artist because he's just a rapper in that space. Like he's not an overall producer of his music, and you can hear the difference. So like when you have that perspective, you can understand why it's like, wow, Roddy Ricch sounds amazing. Granted, I listen to Roddy Ricch music, like I like his music, so like that doesn't surprise me. Or some Lil Baby songs I like, but they sound different when they work with Kanye West. Absolutely. And then you mentioned his lyrical like content. And one thing I pointed out the other day, I think I was talking to my wife about it. I said, people don't realize like, he put out Graduation in September of 2007. His mother passed away in November of 2007. And I'm pretty sure in 2007, Kanye West was like 29 or 30, maybe 31, somewhere in that realm. So, our age right now, roughly, right?
Right.
I couldn't imagine losing my mom's 2 months after my biggest album comes out to date, and I'm the biggest artist in the world. I'm at that first height of my career. My mom's passes away, who's been an influential piece in my life. How do you cope with that? And I just think what people don't realize is for the past 15 years, he's been coping with the loss of his mom, and you can kind of hear it and see it in his transitional moments. Like 808s and Heartbreak comes out a year after his mom passes. How is that not one of the most emotional pieces of work he put out to date, from sonic to lyrics? And then everything after that is you can kind of feel like he's trying to find a way, right? Now, granted, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, he's surrounded by, that's when I think good music came to fruition and Big Sean was popping. Like he's surrounded by other creative rappers, and that's the kind of music you get. You get My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, arguably one of the best rap albums, right? After that separates, and you get Yeezus. He's again finding space and trying to push elements creatively, and then he starts to kind of come into his own. I think he then breaks into his late 30s, turns 40, and you get Life of Pablo, you get you get I'm Finding God with the gospel album. And I just think this album is kind of full circle, which is why, like I said, if I was titling it, I'm titling 808 and Gospels. But for him to title it Donda, it's kind of almost like he's found peace with the fact that he doesn't have his mom anymore. And you can hear that shit in the lyrics. You can hear that in the music. And I think if you had that perspective, you'll listen to this shit a lot different. Like, because people forget the timing of things matters in people's lives. I don't care if they're like entertainers or not. Like artists, athletes, nobody's prepared to lose their mom at any point in time. And like that happens to an artist who makes music like Kanye West. That's going to affect your creativity. And I just think this is a clear representation of him not being completely affected emotionally. And he's got a clear creative mind. And that's why you get records that sound sonically and lyrically the way they do. Easily. And then when you incorporate other people, like, for example, I wish him and Drake weren't feuding because they make some amazing music together.
Yeah, like, feuding, I know.
Yeah, right? Feuding. Who knows what that is even about? Because anybody I'm feuding with, like, I'm not texting them. So I don't know what that really is about. But if they made music together, it'd be amazing. So
they really would. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with all that. I mean, shit. It seems like we're getting towards the end, and that would be a great time to die on a hill. So considering what we're talking about, what hill you dying on when it comes to Kanye and Drake's best album / favorite? I feel like those are two different categories. So we'll go with best album, not favorite, best album.
We'll go best album. Because if I'm dying on a hill,
best album. Best album.
Let's touch
dying
this.
on a hill, Kanye, Drake.
Let's touch this for future reference, what dying on a hill means. Dying on a hill is you're on top of a hill, and there's a guy at the bottom of the hill that tells you, hey, come down here, I won't kill you. But he's got a gun, and he tells you to come down there, put your gun down, I won't kill you. You know you're going to die if you go down the hill. So you tell him, nope, I'm dying on my hill up here. If you're going to kill me, come up here. That's the decision I'm making. And if I'm correlating that to picking the best Kanye album, as good as Donda is, damn, that's tough though. He's got 10 albums. I still got to go 808s and Heartbreak. If he's like, hey, come down the hill. I got Donda down here. If you listen to Donda, I won't kill you. I'm staying on the hill with 808s and Heartbreak. That might be even an unpopular opinion, but for me, again, like it could be a biased opinion. It could be a personal moment in time. I don't know. I'm dying on 808s. Okay. 808s and Heartbreak.
I do want to mention real quick about Donda. When I did find out he was naming his newest album Donda, I just knew it was going to be unreal. I was like, he's not letting his mom down. Like, he's not naming an album his mom's name, and it's not going to be amazing. So with that being
gimmicky,
said, yeah. I just knew he was going to deliver on that front. But for me, I will literally argue anyone about how good My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is, and that is arguably one of the best albums ever made for rap genre and just albums in general. But I think Kanye's best album is Graduation.
Wow.
Production to lyrics, yes. I think is just, it is phenomenal.
I used to think that. I really did. That's funny you say that, because like if you asked me that 5 years ago, I'm probably saying Graduation. And then I kind of revisited 808, so I'm just like, yeah, this is it. But Graduation, there's no skips, top to bottom. Mm-hmm. It's hip hop. Like it is. Yeah. To me, it's the foundation of Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Life of Pablo. Like it's the foundation for that kind of music.
Yep.
Easily. And it's bars. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very respectable hill to die on.
Oh yeah, for sure. And now for Drake, what do we got? Which album?
If I got to pick, if I'd have to pick one, I'd probably get off the hill. No, I wouldn't get off the hill. I'd keep a Drake album on top of the hill. I'd pick. I'm probably going with Well, I don't know. If you're reading this, it's too late. Does it count as an album?
Oh yeah, we'll say it. I'll give it to you.
Then I'm keeping that on the hill.
Mm.
I'm keeping that on the hill because I like my preference of Drake in terms of what I think is his best is when he's rapping and he's got conversational records on there. And I think a record like he didn't even write it, but he performed it and 10 bands is hard. What are the records? There's records on there that I think he can't top when it comes to rapping.
Isn't Know Yourself on there?
Know Yourself is on there.
Yep.
He's got a handful of records on that album that are just, rap. And that, although Views is really good.
Like, Views is really good.
Views is top notch.
Views is really good.
I mean, that has energy on it. I got energy. Yeah. It's got Used To. It's got 6 Man. It's got, 6 p.m. in New York. People call it shit. It's the I'm dying with Tim. I'm dying with if you're reading this, it's too late. Easily.
Okay, cool. All right. And then, yes, I mean, I feel like I already said it earlier, but Nothing Was the Same for me. I just think it's his best piece of work. I don't know if it's because of Just Hold On, We're Going Home really hit me, but I just think production, lyrics, you name it, creativity, that did it for me. And, super talented artist, who knows? We'll see where his career goes. He's not done and he's going to be around for a while. So Drake.
I got one question on that.
All right.
We'll apply it to both and then we'll wrap it up after this. Yeah. Because it's kind of where they're both at in their careers. Where does Kanye West go musically from here? Like, do you expect another Kanye West album?
Kanye West will 100% make another album. And it will release, Kanye's album will probably release in 2023.
2024, president.
Yeah, around this, something like that. I think he's going to tie it in with something like that for sure. And I think it's going to be continued on this spiritual sound, this gospel hip hop sound. And I think he's going to maybe potentially, if this isn't his last album, he does make one more. I do think potentially his next album could be his last. As far as a solo artist, I do think a Watch the Throne 2 could still come, or a collaboration album. But
keep this in mind.
I do think his next album could be something that correlates what he's doing in his personal life as far as that front, and just make something freaking bananas that like we could never imagine. I think he could really blow our minds for sure. Not just saying that as a fanboy. I really do think that.
I hope you're right. Hope Watch the Throne 2 comes with 2 50-year-olds rapping. That'd be pretty impressive.
Why not? Fuck it.
That's what I'm saying. I think that pushes the back because then it releases the age bracket on hip hop and pop culture. Like, hey, you're too old to do this, and that's not possible. And Drake, I won't ask, does he put out another album? I think he absolutely does.
He's putting out another album. Right.
Does it? Is he still received, or has he reached the Tom Brady point? The Kobe Bryant points where people just want to see you fail on his next album. Because I think people anticipated that with this album, and they got it. And Way Too Sexy's on it, Fair Trade's on it, and people are like, "Wow, he still makes hits." Is his next album?
I feel like there was a little. I feel like Drake had a little.
There was some anticipation for him not to succeed.
A little, on this album, I feel like he had a little not negative pettiness, but kind of being like, "Oh, fuck you, people, watch this."
Absolutely.
In his own right. I don't want to confuse this with what I would like him to do, but it would not surprise me if Drake disappears.
Yeah.
And he comes back with an album that you're like, oh shit. And it's like this bar heavy, like rap inspired music. I just think because this Certified Lover Boy, I feel like he's giving people hits. Like there's a lot of singles on this album. To me, it's not a project that had like this creative, intertwined top to bottom theme. It was like, no, I'm just going to go make hits. And I feel like he did that. I mean, the first 7 tracks probably all be on the radio.
Yep.
So, and like you said, if you took your A&R version, shit, all the 12 of those records could be radio songs. So I think you could see him making a fucking playlist, a 20, 30 track, fucking 10 track, whatever he wants to do. And it's just him and 40, him and Boy Wonder, and they get in it and get after it. And they just give us some raw fucking rap. I could see that for sure.
And basically, if you're reading this, it's too late. Part 2.
Yeah. I could see that coming. Because I do feel like he took some criticism for this album, and he kind of lost his war with Kanye or whatever. You know, similar releases. He's beating him in streams and whatever. And
Laugh Now, Cry Later wasn't on the album either, and he put that out as like a single at one point. People forgot that.
I thought that was the single for the other artist. That was Lil Baby, right?
Dirk's not that. That's not Dirk's record.
My bad.
Yeah, that's Drake's record.
Oh,
that's Drake's record.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah. And then I just want to comment one last thing, because like I said, I would love to watch The Throne 2. What a Time to Be Alive was a time to be alive for Drake Music, him and Future. If they can recreate that, that would be amazing also, because they made some fantastic music with What a Time to Be Alive. So I don't want to look over that album. I consider that a Drake album, even though it's a collaboration album, but it's one of Drake's best albums when it comes to like music. So let's keep that in mind.
And again, artists, it always, that was a Metro Boomin album. It always depends who they're working with in the studio. And that's why I think if he really locks in with 40, Boy Wonder, T Minus, and some of those other Toronto producers that really help bring up Drake with like a unique creative sound, and they just make that fucking head knocking hip hop, I think they can do some fucking disrespectful shit for sure. They want to take it there.
Easily.
And I think he's due.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Well,
let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap that up. Donda, CLB, both playing in your stereo at the same time. Appreciate the conversation.
Definitely. If this gets released prior to the 17th of September, we have our own album coming out Friday, the 17th of September.
Dark Days, Brighter Nights.
If you listen to this after September 17th, then our album is already out.
Dark Days, Brighter Nights. Check the first podcast for a rundown on that album.
We do have our first pilot episode of the podcast that talks about all that. And we will have future content coming. Hopefully we can get 1 to 2 episodes a week, along with some other content, new music on the way. So there's not anything
I'm putting that energy out there. We'll have this. I'm not gonna say hopefully we'll have this up. You'll have this the same day the album drops, and then we'll have a new episode for you, September 25th. Be on the lookout for that.
Yep.
Who knows what we'll talk about.
All right, man.
Later.
Later.
Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?